So dating is on its last legs. I think that the hope for it to recover is very slim and requires a lot of sacrifice. I mean, overall, our work ethic, our attention spans as a society are kind of going down the hole thanks to judgmentalism, tribalism, and different type of isms all around of exclusion, prejudice, bias. But let's focus a little bit on dating because I was watching a couple of videos back to back. I was watching a famous YouTuber by the name of Shoe on Head's responses to the male loneliness epidemic. And then I watched another YouTuber who I watched, Thinking Ape. He made a response to her and was talking about how it's kind of too late because whether we like it or not, talking about men and their loneliness and the dating realm being there has come up and it's become a very mainstream topic. But it also feels like you get a lot of responses of it is too little, too late, which I understand. Sometimes in life, someone could disappoint you so much to the point where you don't hold resentment, but you just say, hey, I just don't want anything to do with you, and I think that we should move on in our lives, which is probably a wiser decision because sticking around with a situation where there's a bad taste in your mouth from just years of trouble, which I've been with, it's better to move on from those situations and admit that you can't make them work. Because I have been in a lot of friendships, relationships, um, situationships as they call them now that just never worked because of certain things. And to me, it's honestly ridiculous that situationship is now a term because it just shows that the indecisiveness of people my age and the people taking over this country and this world, so to speak, because they have been raised on social media and they are lost, confused, didn't have really good role models growing up, didn't have good models to follow over, some better, some worse. But I digress because watching the response to these shoe on head videos and seeing Better Bachelor say no thank you and seeing the blockings that have gone on. I mean, I watched this situation from afar just because I enjoy looking at social engineering and how people react with one another. And I have lived with men, I have worked with men, and I get it. Men could be stubborn, men could be lazy, men could be forgetful. They can be, but not all of them are. I also know a lot of men who keep their word, who are very good people, who I would go out on a limb for, who I would always make a business deal with, who have proven to be reliable, who have proven to be able to keep their word, etc. I think I used that one again, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying all men are lazy, but I have lived with a few lazy men, and I will tell you that it is very hard when you are given a list of chores divided and you're the only one who has gotten yours done in the first week. Then you fast forward a year later and not even fixing the appliances that they said they were going to fix has been done because they had showed up to work, they had done a lot of different stuff, and they never thought that, hey, I have to pay my share of the rent or get this drain fixed so we don't get supercharged, which, apartments do. And then they wonder why you don't want to sign the lease. And then you're the bad guy because you don't want to sit around and be their free meal ticket so they can't squat. But I have also lived with some guys who are super responsible, super good about keeping the home clean, because I do like neat and tidy, non-cluttered spaces. I enjoy having organization. It's easier to find everything, and just having everything work overall and keeping maintenance up with these places, it makes a lot of things, a lot of problems go away. But when you see all men get lumped into the same category as trash or disgusting or having all the same tendencies where there are no good men anymore, and then we fast forward 5 years later to the modern era, and now everyone's saying, where have all the good men gone? And it's you basically chase them away. And me, myself, I have taken a couple steps back from the dating realm, and I have had some successful brief relationships in that time, but really because I have learned to pick my battles and not lump women all into one category. Because if you lump every person from a group into one category, that's it's going to limit your life a little bit. Obviously, you shouldn't be naive and think that every person doesn't fit these stereotypes, but you use discernment over time and you learn just what goes into what. But it's no wonder that these spaces of like the Better Bachelors and the Fresh and Fits, the Andrew Tates, the Sneakos, etc., have had men huddling and hoarding into these spaces because whether you want to admit it or not, there's a lot of men thinking the same thing, that they are not valued by our society. We could look at our military numbers because nobody really wants to join right now, and we're seeing the media talk about drafting because nobody's voluntarily signing up anymore. Overall, just a nation filled to the brim with resentful men. And I think, honestly, a lot of these male spaces, for the most part, have taken things very far to the point where now men are kind of saying yes to whatever it is that they are thinking and just kind of repeating themselves to the point where they themselves have become bots. So now you have two camps of people who are telling each other that they're trash and not looking past their faults and not, looking at themselves. They just want to point the finger and hate the other side, and anything that they do is excused because they're part of said camp. Like, if I could go back and look at a decade ago to today, I would never think that it has gotten this bad in such a crazy short amount of time, because 10 years really isn't that long if we all think about it. And now when you see AI on the rise, now not only is AI becoming our girlfriends slash boyfriends, but our friends overall. I was on Snapchat and I saw that we have an AI that will talk to us just to keep us company. So we have somebody to talk to. And it's amazing how a robot has replaced basically all human decency, all mentorship, all everything in between. Like, the battlefield is covered from all spaces. Every possible angle feels like it has been pre-socially engineered and pre-thought out. But as much of an uphill battle as it sounds like it's going to be, what are the steps we need to take to overcome this? Because if life in general keeps going on like this, not just in dating, but just our human decency and our principles, everything in between, where everyone's divided and hates each other, this society cannot stand on its own 2 feet and is not long for this world for a very long time. Or forever. Sorry. I'm trying to sound slick, but the solution is forgiveness. I know a lot of people have not learned that skill. I still have yet to dabble in that skill. And forgiveness doesn't mean letting people in your life back who don't deserve to be there, or letting people take advantage of you again, because there's been a lot of that. I'm no stranger to people taking advantage of situations. But if you can sift through this society of narcissism and selfishness and nearsightedness and victimhood, and you could find yourself a decent partner or a decent boss or a decent employee or anything in between that would fit, honor, integrity, just overall good vibes, you got to stick with those people and you got to build your castle around them, because you can't realistically just say that everyone's going to snap and have a change of heart all at once. It's just not going to work like that. Some people are just never going to find their way home. But what you can do is help yourself. Get yourself out of the rut. Get yourself out of the smoldering fire. Find yourself someone who is worthwhile and don't let them go. Don't take them for granted. Just don't. because I think that's where a lot of our problems come into contact. We always think the grass is greener on the other side because we have a disagreement with our friends or our partners. And it's not even repetitive ones, but just those one-time deals where people let us down, and then we get the quote-unquote ick, and then we just have to throw our relationship away and file for divorces and never talk to our best friends again over one thing that they've done wrong, right? But starting small, locally, camps where people can get along, neighbors can be neighbors, everyone can be on the same page. Turn off your news, turn off the divisiveness and the debates and the social media, and learn to coexist. That's probably our best bet.
Because it's going to be a long, drawn out road to fix these things. But I think we can if we understand that we all have a part to play in this. Because it's been a long road to really destroy our values, a long, gradual road to make people this way of resenting each other and hating each other. And a long road into the dark requires a long road out of the light. But that's what I've got to say about this. And let's get to work.